Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Coriander, how's it going? Slasher Movie Club time.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. This was a movie. This was a movie. That's what I'm going to start out with. Um, so tonight we're going to be talking about 1980s Terror Train, starring the
Yeah.
great Jamie Lee Curtis. And before we kind of get started with things, I'll just do a quick take with you. What do you think of this movie? Before we kind of get into it, a quick take. What does this movie mean to you?
Well, just as I like the idea of isolating people on a train with a killer.
Hmm.
I thought that
Yeah.
it made I like this movie. I mean, there's not a lot of gore or blood,
Hmm.
which in a
Hmm.
slasher film, there's usually, in most cases, at least one or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was good even without that. So yeah.
Yeah. I gotta admit, this was really good. I mean,
Mhm.
I had not seen this movie. I don't even know how long it's been. I mean, I was a
Yeah,
kid, and
same.
I didn't even really remember it. I just kind of
Mm.
had a few images in my head, and of course, knowing that it was a Jamie Lee Curtis movie early in her career, that's all I remembered of it. I didn't remember much of the plot. I didn't remember anything. So this was pretty much like going in fresh. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this movie was awesome. I mean, it really, really
Yeah.
was. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I'm
Good
so glad.
story, decent
Yeah.
suspense, and a great,
Yep.
twist to the end. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And we'll definitely be getting into that too. Real quick, just to see who we have in the chat with us tonight. We've got Eric saying, Frenzy and I watched this for the first time last year as a request for the podcast. We were expecting garbage. We loved it. There you go.
Nice.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
really agree, man. This movie, seriously, I mean, we'll talk, about some of the, specifics of it, but I was just so impressed with this movie. I really was. You're talking about a movie that's, 40 years old or whatever, and I think it was awesome. Um, we
Mhm.
also have Mr. Dan and Horror in the chat saying, hello, everybody. What's going on, man?
Hey.
Nice to have you. Nice to have you in the chat. We also have Bill Wise in the chat saying hi. Hey, what's going on?
Hello.
Nice to have you in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, and for Mr. Dan and Bill, I don't know if you guys have seen Terror Train. If you have, please let us know what you think of it in the chat. But if you haven't, we will be talking about some aspects of the movie. Depending on how things go in the chat, we might try not to give away the big spoilers of it. But this movie, we'll just start off. I'll just start off, Coriander. This movie is shrouded in illusion and mystery and all those types of things, and I think it was done really, really well. I mean, it seriously had me wondering, throughout the whole movie. um, but let's just kind of start off with this whole thing. It starts off in the beginning, and you see it's basically a group of medical students. They're part of
Mm.
a fraternity, and the bottom line is they pull a prank
Yeah, it goes
on
wrong.
a yeah, and it goes wrong. They pull a prank on a guy that's trying to become part of the fraternity or whatever.
Was it Kenny? What's his
And
name? Was this Kenny?
yeah, yep, yep.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get him to go and make out with Jamie Lee Curtis's character named Alana, and it goes wrong, and they did a really bad thing. The medical students, and this
Mm.
this was damn creepy. He goes into the bedroom and he's expecting Jamie Lee Curtis there, and she's hiding and saying, come over here and kiss me and this and that. And all of a sudden, there's this damn cadaver that's in the bed instead of Jamie Lee Curtis, and Kenny flips out. and
Yeah, he
rightly
does.
so, rightly
Mm.
so. And so that's basically the beginning of the story. So you obviously know, that this is going to be some sort of revenge tale. I thought it was
Mhm.
a really good setup. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
What did you think of the prank? What did you think of the prank, Coriander?
Fraternities, what can I say? I mean, those
Right.
those what do they really have to offer but drinking and
That's
supposedly
true.
losing your virginity maybe and God knows what else. I mean, it
Right.
just yeah,
Absolutely.
it started
Yeah.
out great. I mean,
It
and
did.
yeah, the prank, I mean, yeah, using a dead body, for
Right.
him to like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric says that shot of the train coming down the track in the beginning is really creepy. Definitely sets the mood. I thought the same thing, man. It's funny because this movie has a lot of cool atmosphere, and it's creepy and it's moody and it's done in a way, like you were saying, Coriander. It's not, bombastic with the gore or with the kills or, all these extra type of things. It's very
Hmm.
subtle. And I think that's what
Hmm.
makes it work. I really enjoyed this
Yeah,
film.
yeah,
Mr. Dan says, been a while. I remember being in suspense. Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We've got Cadaver Club. Ben's in the chat. What's up, man? He says,
Hello.
hey, man, that cadaver was a club member.
I'm
I bet it
sure.
was, Ben. That's funny, man. Good old Ben. We got Trenchy in the chat saying,
Hey,
hey, what's
Trenchy.
up? All right. All right. Trenchy says, I love how the killer changes costumes throughout the movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's smart.
like I said, this movie, and obviously it looks as though everyone in the chat has seen it, so you guys know, and you guys have been saying a lot of the things that we've been thinking. But for anyone who's watching this that has not seen this movie, you need to check it out. It is free on, was it Tubi or Roku? I think it was the Roku channel.
Yeah,
It's,
it
in
was
other
the
words, it's
Roku.
free.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's free streaming. I'm sure you can get it cheap on DVD. It's worth it, man. This is a movie
Hmm.
that is so cool. Um, let's see. Eric says my favorite costume was the reptile costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one, man. It really, really
Right.
good was good. But yeah, so the movie starts out. They're on the train having a party. It's a New Year's Eve thing, and
Yeah,
right off
costume
the bat,
party. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, so you're already set up to be
It
in
sounds
the
like it'd
dark.
be a fun friggin' time, if you ask me.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the other thing that's great about it too, and it's very similar to a lot of movies that we've talked about that we enjoy, where you're in one place, and you can't just
Yeah,
easily run and get
you
away or
can't.
get out,
Right.
And actually,
Yeah.
it's funny because in the movie, um, uh, Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, is the star of this movie, but you had some other great, co-stars and supporting characters. But one of the characters, he was basically saying, you're always trying to leave my parties, but this time you can't, and he was basically the
Hmm.
mastermind behind the prank and also
Yep.
the best friend of Jamie Lee Curtis's boyfriend. So, this was interesting. Now, I'll throw it to you in a second, Coriander. The other part about this that was really interesting to me as well, you've got the costumes, and right before the train even leaves, as people are already boarding, right before the train even leaves, there's a kill. And
Yeah.
it happens off camera. You don't see the killer do the killing, but you see the victim with one of those swords stuck in his belly.
Yep.
And of course, everyone who's boarding, the last few people think it's a joke. Right off the bat, I was like, wow, that it was done in a very intelligent way. What did you think of that as the beginning of the setup?
Yeah, it was smart because that killer got the costume,
Yep.
and yeah, it was easy to board that train. So yeah, it was a great move on his
Yeah.
part.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And, it's a party, so everyone's, comfortable, not thinking about, anything, and so forth
Yeah.
and so forth. And like I said, the killer is on board, and we have no idea who the killer is. And I thought that was really cool the way that they did it. Now, as you know, we get introduced to, a couple of other characters, the conductor, his helpers, and I thought those guys were actually pretty cool as
Uh,
supporting characters.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Johnson, he played Karn, the lead conductor, and
Hmm.
he's been obviously a very skilled and old school actor. But I thought his role was actually pretty cool in the sense that he was around, and he was kind of, it was almost like, I'm not trying to say he felt like a Dr. Loomis, but he was kind of
But he's
cut
like
in that
looking out for
mold.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of cut in that mold, so you kind of got the sense that he had a level head.
Hmm.
He was smart, and
Yep.
he was just always going to be around. He wasn't stupid, is what I'm kind of getting
No.
at for an older character. And I thought that was really cool. But anyways, let me just catch up into the chat as well. We got Slasher Fred in the chat too, saying one of the disguises the killer looks like Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I like that
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
I mean, his
Yep.
eyes, there were points when he was staring at someone and it's like, wow, that's freaking creepy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Eric says, "Who knew that David Copperfield could be a decent actor in a slasher movie?" Yeah, yeah, and I was just about to get to that, man. I think that was a very smart part of
Yeah.
this movie. You had the legendary David Copperfield in the movie playing a magician, but I thought that was really cool because obviously, and now we're going to get into spoiler territory for anyone who's watching this on replay or what have you. If you've not seen the movie, I would recommend you see the movie because I think it's fantastic, the whole mystery. But, anyways, here we go. But David Copperfield in the movie, and he's kind of the red herring, so to speak. He's very mysterious,
There
kind
he
of
is.
soft spoken. And the
Hmm.
way that the movie is portraying him, you're wondering, what's the deal with this guy? He's doing these magic shows, on the train to entertain the folks, which, by the way, was awesome. And you do
Yeah.
have a killer that is on the loose, like Slasher Fred was saying, has the Groucho mask on for a while, and
Hmm.
he's doing some things. But every time you see the killer, you obviously don't see a few of the other actors in the movie. So they're really trying to make you guess what's going on in the movie. Speaking of David Copperfield, we do have a few fun facts which were kind of interesting, and we'll throw these out to you guys real quick. But the first one we've got David Copperfield. He got irritated during production because he had trouble saying his lines and swore he'd never make another movie. Now, I got to admit, kind of surprising because, him being a performer and so forth, it just goes to show you that different mediums, you need different types of skills. Being an actor is obviously a lot different than, being a magician in front of, a multitude of people. But that
Yeah.
being said, I think, like Eric said in the chat, I think he did a really a fine job in his role. And he did ultimately do other productions later on where he usually played himself, but maybe he decided that he give movies and TV another shot or so forth. But another fun fact too, Jamie Lee Curtis she shot Terror Train back to back with Prom Night. Both were filmed in Canada, which is cool. I mean, I did not know that, but it makes sense because a lot of her early films were really close to it. Between Halloween to Terror Train, I think that was she did Halloween, The Fog, Prom Night, Terror Train. Those movies were all within 4 years.
Yeah.
So she she was on the money, man. She
Hmm.
really was. But anyways, back to the story. What did you think of David Copperfield's character?
I enjoyed his character. Like you said,
Hmm.
he brought mystery and, you know, yeah, I guess I don't want to really talk any spoilers, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed his
Well, we can
character.
we can get into spoilers, until the very end of the movie when we find out who it is. You can go into spoilers.
Yeah, I really didn't think, you know, it was him, but yeah, it was
You
it
didn't
was
at
just
you didn't at all?
no, no,
Really? Wow.
really, yeah, yeah,
Well,
no.
I mean, look, were you but obviously you saw how they were trying to position him as the
Oh yeah,
killer,
like you
right?
said that you think, well, maybe it could be this one, or maybe this
Hmm.
one. But I really didn't know, because he to me was too obvious, you know what I mean, to
Okay,
be
yeah. That's what I was
yeah.
going to ask you next is it because it was too obvious to you? Which
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but of course with movies sometimes they portray someone as a killer and it's the obvious choice and it turns out that it
Hmm.
is, and then sometimes they
Right.
kind of in different movies they kind of go back and forth. But he definitely was kind of portrayed as possibly the killer. But
Hmm.
yeah, but he's doing his magic shows, and then you've got multiple characters. They're partying. You've got Mitchie, who is she's Jamie Lee Curtis's girlfriend in the movie, best friend, and of course
Hmm.
she's dating
The
Jamie Lee
jerk.
Curtis's boyfriend's friend. Yeah, the jerk who
Yeah.
started the whole prank. And so
Hmm.
there's a lot of things going on, man. There's a lot of things going on. And we saw that the killer he donned multiple costumes, which was really really
Yeah.
cool, man. And I thought that that was really really interesting. Another fun fact, that this film was notable for the particular novelty story element gimmick where the killer puts on costumes of his last victim. The killer is constantly seen in different outfits throughout the movie. And
Yeah.
that's supposed to be his last victim, not list victim. but but I thought that that was really interesting because I hadn't really seen a movie like that in a while, at least not off the top of my head, and I think that was fantastic.
Hmm.
And especially as he was moving about, sometimes you didn't know if it was him or not. So I thought that that was really really cool.
Those he had those eyes though. I mean,
Yes.
ah, I don't know. His eyes kind of gave him away, because
Yeah. Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay. Trenchy says Jamie Lee Curtis really left a mark on the horror genre, and she doesn't even like the genre. Haha. Well, at least she
Yeah,
respects it. Yeah,
right.
she really doesn't like watching horror movies. She does not
Hmm.
consider herself a horror movie buff. But like Trenchy says, I will give her a lot of credit because she definitely respects the genre. She understands that this was what made her who she is. She respects her mother's legacy, Janet Leigh, and you got to give her credit. And we've talked about this before, but it's not a bad thing to mention it again. But there's so many actors who get their start in horror movies, and many of them, either on purpose or maybe it's just the way things happen, they don't really acknowledge that. They don't acknowledge, their humble beginnings. They don't acknowledge, maybe the directors that took a chance on them. Really, especially old school horror. Jamie Lee Curtis is one of the few that I've ever heard say, "Hey, I got to give credit to John Carpenter and Deborah Hill for taking a chance on me in Halloween." And she knows that that started her career. I've heard Johnny Depp talk about his beginnings and how Wes gave him, a shot, in A Nightmare on Elm Street. But many other actors and actresses, you don't hear them talk about that too much, which is
Mm,
too bad. It really
right.
is because I think horror movies, obviously, this channel, that's what we do a lot of is talk about horror movies. But horror movies, they live on for a long time, as we all
Yeah,
know.
they do.
I mean,
Yes, they
here
do.
we are talking about, yeah, here we are talking about Jamie Lee Curtis and a movie that's 40 years old. And geez, I can't even remember the last horror movie Jamie Lee Curtis was in. Well, other than Halloween 2018, I'm not counting that, but I mean back, back in the day. And it just shows how the genre can really live well beyond, you know what I'm saying? And so,
Mhm.
anyways, it's just interesting how some actors and actresses, they handle that situation. But anyways, but as the story goes on, again, they're playing it up, and like you said, Coriander, there are many scenes where the with the killer, especially with the Groucho mask. I think that was such a good
Mm.
mask. He just had
Yeah.
this look on his face. There he is with Mitchie, and things
Mhm.
do not end well for Mitchie. And like I said, it's crazy. Um, Eric says, I still wish Wes would have asked Johnny to cameo in New Nightmare. He would have been a guest at the funeral. Depp said he would have done it. Yeah, that would have been cool, man. It would have been cool.
Right?
I remember reading Wes kind of said he was a little he was nervous to ask him to do it. And I think that's and it kind of ties into what we were just saying. I think Wes kind of looked at it like, well, now Johnny Depp is, he's a mega star and, he's too big, for the Nightmare movies now. But again, like I said, to give Johnny Depp credit, he remembers, he respects Wes. He remembers where he started. He gives credit to that. So, good case in point. That's a good one, Eric. Good one. Trenchy says, oh, I agree. Horror leaves an impact, usually good or bad. They usually leave an impact. Yeah, it really, really does. There's no doubt about that. Um, but as we start to get further into the movie, there were a couple other interesting parts going on, but ultimately, and we knew it was going to come to this. Jamie Lee Curtis has to face the killer,
Yeah.
and I thought it was a really cool finale. It was a good, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of the movie. All shit
Mhm.
was breaking loose. And at one point, the conductor, played by Ben Johnson, he found Mitchie's body and he's like, okay, stop the train. They stopped the train. They're in the middle of nowhere. For all we know, they could have been in Transylvania. All you saw outside was the moonlight, and you saw trees, you saw snow
Mhm.
on the ground, and there was nothing. And he stops the train, has everyone get off the train, and everyone's freaking out, and you still don't know. Now, interestingly enough, and again, we're getting into the spoilers and so forth, when everyone gets off the train, you do see that David Copperfield does not. And so again, they're really, angling you into thinking that something's up with him. At one point, I was thinking, well, maybe he could be the killer. And then, kind of like you, Coriander, I was thinking, oh, that's too obvious. Then I thought maybe it's a multiple killer thing, or maybe it's a plot, like he's involved in it, but he may not be the killer. So I think this movie was very, very smart. But anyways, they stop the train, and of course, people are like freaked out because they know there's a killer on board, and some people are like, "I'm walking," and Karn says, "You can't. There's nowhere to go. You'll die. It's too cold out here," and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So they really were stuck. What did you think of that aspect of it? I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. You were stuck. I mean, honestly, what could you
Yeah.
do but what they did, put everybody in one car and get going to
Yes.
the next station. So, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's all you
Yep.
could do,
Absolutely.
honestly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, the other thing about this too that I didn't mention, the whole concept of this movie was the executive producer, he wanted to make Halloween on a train. And I thought that was kind of interesting. He had some type of, I think how the story goes is he had some type of a dream and woke up and told his wife,
Yeah.
and he talked about how he had a dream, where there's a killer on the train and it reminded him of Halloween. And she said, that's a terrible idea. And so he jotted down some of his ideas and he had called it Terrible Train, right? And then, obviously he changed that to Terror Train You see what I did there, and so that's how this whole thing started. And I gotta admit, man, it's a great idea. I really think it's a cool idea. Let's see,
Yeah.
real quick in the chat. Trenchy says, "Yeah, Kevin Smith was worried about asking Ben Affleck to come back for a cameo in the reboot until he saw an interview of Affleck saying he would love to. So it just goes to show trying never hurts." Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah. Trenchy says, "My favorite kill is when Doc is decapitated." Yeah, man. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's funny too because, and I think I've got that scene in our intro because in that whole scene, you still don't know who the killer is, and there he kind of barricaded himself into a cart with Jamie Lee Curtis, and
Mhm.
then she leaves because she's just frantic,
Smart.
and well, and smart. You're right, and smart. And the killer is in there, and well, I don't want to give this part away yet because that's gonna be the spoiler. But anyways, but Doc thinks it's a practical joke, and for 1 second, my mind started to go to April Fool's Day, and I'm like, wait a second, is this And but it wasn't a joke because he got decapitated, like Trenchy was saying. So again, this movie was very very smart. It really, really was. And you got David Copperfield, who's still doing parlor tricks and this and that, and he's making his assistant disappear, and just some really cool shit. I gotta admit, I mean, some of those tricks, I was just like, wow. Interestingly enough, we've got another fun fact. David Copperfield was saying that film is a magnifying glass for magic, so I had to be very careful. What you see on screen is exactly what the extras saw during shooting. That's just crazy, man. Because I was, I was watching the tricks and stuff, and I was like, how the hell is he doing that? I mean, there were some really cool effects that David Copperfield was doing. It's like, it's a really cool movie, and we're also getting these really cool David Copperfield moments. And I was just like,
Yeah.
that is something else. What did you think of some of those magic scenes?
I thought they were great. I mean, he had his assistant disappearing, and I mean,
Yes.
he's putting a cigarette through a quarter. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he did some pretty cool shit.
Yeah, yeah. I was just like, how the hell is he doing this shit, man? It's like
Right.
what the heck? Real
Yeah.
real quick in the chat. Oh man, let me see what you guys are saying here. Oh, we got Patrick's in the chat saying, "Good evening, Night Coriander and Jerry." What's going on, Patrick? How
Hello,
you doing?
Patrick.
Um, let's see. Slasher Fred was saying there was another actor named Kevin Smith. He played the role of the antagonist Ares on the show Xena, Warrior Princess. Man, I haven't seen Xena in so long, man. Um, Patrick says, I think David Blaine would have frozen on the train.
Nice.
Maybe, maybe. Oh man. But as we get to near the end of what's going on here, obviously, we have the confrontation with the killer and Jamie Lee Curtis. And again, I thought it was a great finale. She's running through the different areas of the train and so forth,
Hmm.
and then we get to the end. And of course, this is the ultimate spoiler, guys. First of all, let me ask you this, Coriander, before we say who the
Hmm.
killer is. Did you know who it was? Did you figure it out?
You know, I had an idea, but I didn't know, how he was doing it until, it was revealed. Yeah. So
When
I'll let you, obviously
when
do
when
the
did
big reveal,
when
but
when did you figure it out though? Can you tell me when, or will that ruin stuff?
almost, because if you notice, the killer was particular with who he was killing. It's not like he was just
Yeah.
going out and killing any particular person. You know what I
Right.
mean?
We kind of had figured, and this is no spoiler, but we kind of figured this was all revenge for Kenny. So
Right.
we knew that,
Right.
but we didn't see Kenny,
No,
on the
but
train.
Kenny is, if you remember him from the beginning, those
Hmm.
eyes, his tiny little
Hmm.
frame. I mean, he's a
Okay.
tiny dude. And when
Yeah.
you see him in
Yeah.
that Mark's costume, I mean,
Hmm.
he's puny. You could tell that he wasn't the magician. You could tell that, yeah, you know, I kind of, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of how I
Okay.
figured it out.
All right. Okay. But of course, now, and obviously, and I know I'm holding back on it, and people probably like, just say it, man. But we didn't see the character who he was. We did not see that character
Yeah,
until almost the end of the movie. So when
right.
you saw that character, you're saying you knew it was him.
Well, not dressed up like he was. Obviously, when he
Right.
revealed himself, then it was like, wow, that was
Yeah.
just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it
Uh,
tricked you
uh,
because here you thought yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it was just great. It's a
Okay.
great twist to an ending. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Eric says, I figured out who the killer was, but didn't figure out the reveal, if you can understand me trying to stay spoiler free. Yeah. 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 I got you. Yeah. I got you. Basically meaning that you knew that it was Kenny, but we didn't
Hmm.
know, like I said, we didn't see Kenny, quote unquote. All right.
Yeah, you didn't
All
at
right.
all. Yeah.
um, Patrick says, I had a feeling it was Kenny. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, let me just say this, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I mean, right from the beginning of the movie, and I don't you, and let me know what you think, Coriander. But right from the beginning of the movie, when Kenny went through the prank, I figured
Hmm.
he was going to be the killer, because horror movies, they usually
Yeah.
set up this whole revenge thing. So I figured it was
Yeah.
Kenny coming
Hmm.
after these people. So I figured that out pretty much in the beginning of the movie. The question is who is he?
How did he?
Because
Yeah, exactly. Because,
this was what, three
yeah.
years later or something like that.
Yep.
Once they
Yep.
were on the train. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, go ahead. What'd you say?
But yeah, because he could have gone on as, who we thought he got on, the person who we killed and took the mask. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then, obviously, yeah, I mean, it's great because he's obviously playing another character that we haven't spoiled yet. And will we spoil
Right.
it? I
Right.
don't know. But
I
I
don't know
mean,
either, man. I'm wondering.
I
Um,
don't know if we should. We
you know
should make
what? We
people watch
won't.
it if they haven't seen it.
We we won't. People in the chat that have seen it, they know. But actually, we won't. And I think,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say this. And again, I didn't know whether we were going to say it or not, but I agree with you right now, Coriander. We won't give out the reveal. But I'll say this. I think that this movie is so cool because you're, like you were kind of just saying a moment ago, he's in a mask, so you never see him, and you're
Hmm.
wondering how is he able to maneuver through the train so easily. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
there's a reason why. Patrick
Yeah.
says everyone thought Copperfield was the killer at the theater. Yeah, like I said, they definitely put David Copperfield right in your face.
Mm.
The way he acted, he was kind of, the way he talked, the way he would look kind of at Jamie Lee Curtis, and all this. Plus that scene where he's going through the magic tricks and he's really got that little competition going on with Doc. That was, I think,
Yeah.
and this just came to my mind, but let me know what you think, Coriander. I think that scene, more than almost any other scene, made you think that David Copperfield was Kenny, because he was really, kind of jockeying for position with Doc in that scene. Basically calling him out. He pulls out the switchblade, and gets the card with Doc's name on it. I mean, if you didn't think
Mm.
that David Copperfield could be Kenny, I don't know what was going on. I'm not saying you said okay he is, but it had to have crossed people's minds.
Right?
But that was a really cool scene though.
Hmm.
Trenchy says the finale is badass. Love the Halloween homage and how and who the killer is killed by, and the ending tracking shot. Yes, I agree. I agree, Trenchy.
Yeah.
Eric says, yes, I knew it was Kenny, but I didn't know the final disguise. That's a better
Yeah.
explanation. Yep, I got you. I
Yeah.
got you, Eric. And And I think that's the best way to explain it. And again, and obviously you guys in the chat, you guys know the drill, so you're not giving it away. But yeah, let's not give it away. And for people watching this replay, you have got to watch this movie if you are a horror fan, if you are a
Yeah.
slasher movie fan, if you're a Jamie
Yep.
Lee Curtis fan, if you're a mystery fan, or if you like trains, train settings, murders on trains. I'm serious, man. This movie was awesome. I'm hyped up. I'm hyped up. And I can honestly say, Coriander, we've done, I don't know, maybe about 9 episodes of Slasher Movie Club, 9 or 10 episodes.
Have
Let's
we
see.
done
So
that many?
3,
Wow.
4, 5, 6. We've done at least about 8, I think. I can
Okay.
honestly say this is one of my favorite movies we've done. Seriously, it it
Nice.
it is up there, man. I could watch this movie right now because it's fun.
Yeah,
It's
you could.
fun. Patrick just said it. This is a fun movie. That's such a great word for it. Atmospheric, moody, creepy, fun. And Jamie Lee
Yeah.
Curtis. I mean, come on. We got my man Prim's
Suspenseful
in the
too.
chat.
Hmm.
Very suspenseful. Prim saying, "Hey guys, what's going on, man? What's going on?"
Hello.
Yeah. It was suspenseful. It was just great. Jamie Lee Curtis doing what she does best. This lady, like I said, she's one of my favorites. And she was amazing in this film. She really, really was. I enjoyed the hell out of her in this film. The mystery, like you were saying, Coriander, it was a lot of cool mystery on it. Terror Train, as far as I recall, and I don't have it, and shame on me, but I believe Scream Factory had a release of it. And I'm telling you what, I'm going to be tracking that son of a bitch down now, because I'm serious. This movie was really, really good. Um, Eric says, this, Prom Night, and The Fog all came out in 1980 with Jamie Lee Curtis. Where would you put them against each other? This is my favorite, followed by The Fog. I didn't like Prom Night. Well, yeah, that's a tough question, Eric, because I'm going to tell you what, The Fog, to me, The Fog is much more of an ensemble movie, and you've got such a wonderful cast. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis, but you've also got the legendary, amazing Tom Atkins. You've got the wonderful, awesome Adrian Barbeau, Hal Holbrook. You've got Janet Leigh, who has her moment in the film. You start off with John Houseman telling the story around the campfire, and it's John Carpenter. Um, so it's hard to compare them against each other, and I've just kind of got reacquainted with Terror Train, so I'm gonna have to let that one sit. But I can tell you, out of the three, Prom Night would be in third place. I can say that. I can say that. I think the Fog might edge Terror Train, but that's because I've watched the Fog since I was a kid. You know what I mean? And continuously. So, what do you think of that, Coriander?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, if I had to place them, uh, I would probably, I don't know, man. I'd have to think about that for a minute. Cause
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Prim was saying, I
interesting.
consider her a scream queen. Absolutely. I can
Definitely.
honestly
By
say,
the time
I,
she
you know,
made
I,
this movie, she was already a scream queen. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think it's safe to say that she is the scream queen. I mean, and the cool thing about it, and we'll see how some other actresses that are obviously younger than her do as they get older. But I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis has been doing horror movies since she was 20 years old, and she was just in Halloween 2018, and she's going to be, obviously in the Halloween that's coming out this fall. So, I mean, she not only made a mark in the genre, but she stayed acquainted with the genre and kept doing things in the genre, so I mean,
hmm,
there are a lot of great scream queens, and there's actresses that have been in more horror movies, than Jamie Lee Curtis, but she's been in, at least for me as a fan, some of my favorite horror movies, and
yeah,
I just think I
yep.
just think she's amazing, you know. Um, Patrick was saying The Fog gets my vote. I hear you, man. I hear you. Ben was saying that the fog is greater than Terror Train.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
definitely. The fog
like
would
I said,
definitely probably be the top,
yeah,
definitely.
I probably would have to go with the fog too. I mean, but again, Jamie Lee Curtis in that movie played, a smaller role than in Terror Train. So, if we're talking about, you know, movies that she was really the lead in, I definitely think Terror Train is one of her best. Um, it's just great. Trenchy says, my ranking would be number one, The Fog, number two, Terror Train, number three, Prom Night. It's hard to beat The Fog. It's a whole different animal compared to the slashers, in my opinion. It's more psychological. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Patrick was saying Teresa Randall is an underrated scream queen. And I tell you what, and Coriander and I have been talking about this, as we continue to do some catching up with our content and re-uploads, and also we've been, we had already planned to do some new series and things that we were going to launch, but we have tossed around the idea about doing some episodes, kind of focusing on scream queens. But there's so many of them, and like you said, Patrick, so many that are underrated or don't get enough credit. So hopefully we'll be able to work on that series and give some more exposure, especially to the scream queens that don't get a lot of exposure, like a Jamie Lee Curtis. So, but yeah, Coriander, the ending is great. Like Trenchy said, the last tracking shot is great. We find out who the killer is. It was surprising, the reveal, like Eric
Yeah,
was alluding to. And like I said, man, this movie kicks ass. It really does. This
it
was a good
does.
one.
Yep.
But yeah, and I'll just throw this out to you guys too. You guys in the chat, please give us a like for this video. It would really help us out a lot, to help the video, and also to support the channel as we try to kind of get back on track, which is obviously going to take a little while. But and also leaving us a comment in the comment section. Let us know some thoughts about this movie, your thoughts about slasher films or Jamie Lee Curtis. That would help a lot too. So I just want to make sure I take the time to say that. But let's talk about, or let's just show a teaser for what we're going to be talking about for next week's episode. And then we'll see what we got. So next week, this is what we've got going on. Check it out. All right. What do you think, Coriander? Tell me your thoughts.
It should be interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing else? That's it?
Well, Klaus Kinski, I mean,
Right.
yeah, that's great. I mean, I just talked
Okay.
about Crawl Space not that long ago, so yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen this movie? Schizoid?
I've seen it once and it was so long ago that I can barely remember it. So yeah.
Oh,
That was
okay.
on I had
Now
that on
I'm
VHS. Yeah.
okay. So I've never seen it. So this is, again, this I love this stuff, man. I'm going in cold, or lukewarm with movies I may not remember for a lot of these episodes, which is really, really cool, man. Real quick in the chat, let's see. Patrick is saying, what is upcoming on the zone? Well, we just played it for you, Patrick. That's what we got coming up for next Monday. But we do have
Yeah.
a couple other really cool episodes coming up. Obviously, one of which is having you on with us next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. We're going to be talking about A Dark Song. So that should be awesome. Such a really cool movie, a hidden gem of a movie that not many people know about. So that'll be fun. And at the end of the month, or I believe it's going to be July the 1st, we're going to have our super stream, our episode 3 for the super stream. Speaking of which, Ben, I got to let you know about that. I haven't told you about that yet, but that's the idea. And Ben was saying that he hasn't seen Schizoid. So yeah,
Oh.
if you get a chance, Ben, check it out. I really I really hope that you can check it out. It is on, I believe it's on Tubi. I believe that's because
Yeah,
Coriander did some
they're all
research on it. I
available
think
on
it's on
like,
Tubi.
yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah, either that or Roku.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or Shudder. We've been trying to make sure
yeah,
that the movies that we're doing are easily available, whether it's YouTube or Tubi or Roku or Shudder, things like that. So hopefully you get a chance to watch it, buddy, because it's going to be a first watch for me. So it should be interesting. Trenchy says, "Oh, I've heard interesting things about that film from Nate, the horror boy." Hey, all right.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to know, man, because Nate knows his stuff. So if he thought it was interesting, then that'll be good for me because I'm interested to see what's going on with it. Patrick says, "Thank you for reloading your past content." Oh, geez, man, you don't have to. Wow, you don't have to thank us for that, man. We had to have something on the channel because when you start over, it's pretty rough when you you have a channel and you're hoping that people watch your content, but you don't have any content, or you only have one or two or three videos. So we
Yeah.
were fortunate to have some of our older stuff. Not a lot though, guys. Not a lot, which is
Yeah.
I cannot express how frustrating and depressing that is. But the good news is that we have a lot of plans and obviously redoing some of our favorite things too. So it's fun. It's fun. That part of it is fun. Um,
Yeah.
Trenchy says, "Oh, I meant something else by interesting. Ha ha ha." Well, hey, I'll have to see what I think. Trenchy.
Oh,
Uh,
that's funny.
ben Ben says, "I'll do my best. Work is effing insane right now. I haven't slept in over 30 hours.
Oh
Jeez,
my
man.
God,
You
that's
gotta
not
you
good.
gotta get yeah, you gotta get some rest, dude. I know
Yeah,
what
you
it's like,
do.
man. Because my work schedule. I mean, I just woke up just a couple hours ago, and I definitely could have kept sleeping because I was just out of it. But yeah, dude, you got to catch up on some sleep. But don't worry if you can't watch it, man, because that's what we're here for, is to talk about it. And usually there are a couple people that have seen the movies in the chat, so that'll have interesting conversation. Um, Patrick says, "Nods, you are crushing it." Well, we Patrick, we really appreciate you being so positive and supporting. We're definitely trying our best, man. We really are. We definitely are trying our best, but we appreciate it. Um, and
Yeah.
we've got Angela in the chat saying hello and good
Hello.
evening. What's going on, Angela? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. We're heading to the end here, but feel free to check out the replay if you'd like. This was a very good episode, by the way, Angela. I don't know if you just popped in. This Look, I'm just telling you, the movie that we're talking about, Terror Train, I don't know if you've seen it, but it is an awesome movie. So this was a fun episode, and we kept it spoiler free. So if you do want to check out the replay, please feel free to. um Ben saying, "Yeah, I'm pretty tired." Yeah, man, you gotta get some rest,
Oh,
dude,
yeah,
seriously.
you
And he
do.
says, "I will get some sleep tonight." All right.
Good.
Um, and Angela says, "I was glad to at least catch the end." Well, we appreciate it. We really do. For all of you guys in the chat, taking the time to usually stop by and say hi, and also to help support us. And, without
Yeah.
you guys doing that, and I've said this to Patrick before too, and Trenchy, without you guys doing that, we wouldn't be able to have come back the way we have. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if we would have. So it's been really cool having the support, and it's a long road, but thankfully we have a lot of great friends in the community that are sticking with us. So it's awesome. It really, really is. Um, Angela says, "I did. I was streaming myself. I haven't seen this before, but the title is great, right? Yeah,
You
it's
need to
awesome.
check
I'm
it
telling
out.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had some fun talking about it, and we stayed away from the spoilers. So you'll enjoy this episode if you get a chance. And she says, I'll for sure catch it after it's published." Thanks a lot.
Mhm.
We appreciate it. And again, for all you guys watching, if you could leave us a like, and at some point, whenever you get a chance, please leave us a comment. That'll help the video and definitely support the channel as you all know, because you guys obviously have your own content that you publish, helps the algorithm. So, anyways, that's about all we've got. This was a fun episode, Coriander. Thank you so much for, getting a chance to talk about this with me. And
Yeah, it's a great movie, so it's always fun to
it's a
talk about
great
great
movie.
movies. Yeah.
It is. It is. This has become a favorite of mine. Just like
Nice.
that, it's become a favorite. Very, very cool. But anyways, guys, we will catch you guys later. Thank you for hanging out with us. And by the way, on Wednesday, to throw this out there too, it's too bad we don't have a community access on the channel. I would love to have access for that to let people know other things we've got upcoming. But we are planning to redo our Stephen King top 10 list, top 10 favorite Stephen King movies on Wednesday. So that should be fun. It'll be
Yeah.
at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully you guys will get a chance to check that out at some point. Ben is saying goodbye. Later, dude.
Bye.
um, Eric is saying this movie is pretty simple with everything: plot, title, acting, gore, and it all works. Fun movie. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Trenchy says, great show, guys. Stay frosty. You too, brother. You too. Yeah.
Bye.
Angela says that will be a fun redo. It will. It was a fantastic episode. I was heartbroken when I lost it, but it was so much fun, and we're gonna actually have a little bit of a tweak in this one to kind of update it a little bit. It was a lot of fun. It will be a lot of fun. Angela says that was an awesome stream last time. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have some fun on Wednesday night with you guys. So we'll catch you guys then. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys. Take it easy.
Up, church.